Hi everybody, welcome to Goshen Prepping. Today we're going to talk about a much needed thing. We need to talk about potassium iodide. Simply put, there's a lot of misunderstandings as far as when to take it, how to take it and such, and we're going to go through that. The video's short, stick through the video obviously, because there's a lot of vital information. It literally could save your life if there's a nuclear emergency. First off, I want you to understand that potassium iodide only helps with one type of nuclear radioactive isotope or element. Because from a nuclear emergency, there's lots of them, by the way. Strontium-90, the half-life is 28 years. In other words, it'll hang around for decades and decades. Your bones absorb it, leading to tumors, leukemia, blood disorders. Another one, cesium-137, goes throughout the whole body, but specifically attacks your gonads and your genetics. Tritium, which is heavy water basically, radioactive water, lung cancer. And of course, one we're going to talk about today is iodine-131. This one is absorbed in the thyroid gland, leading to thyroid cancer. In fact, there's over 300 different radioactive isotopes from a nuclear detonation. Potassium iodide only works for one, the radioactive iodine. So a quick visual to help you understand it. In this glass shows you, I have some rice in here. It shows you, well, kind of how much iodine we use in the thyroid gland. Simply put, your thyroid gland takes iodine and makes your metabolism hormones, gives you energy and such. Yeah, there's not tons. We use quite, a little bit here and there. But when a nuclear detonation goes by, this isn't just regular iodine anymore, but now it's popcorn. And the popcorn is the radioactive iodine. We don't want this. If we absorb this into our thyroid gland, it can lead to thyroid cancer. That's what the problem we're talking about here is the thyroid cancer. So what do? You don't want this radioactive iodine in your body. You can't remove it. So what we do is we take potassium iodide pills and we simply flood your body with so much regular iodine, statistically, it's not very probable you'll still absorb the popcorn or the radioactive iodine. You still can, by the way, obviously, but it drastically reduces the chances. That's all it does. So we're going to talk about the dosages and such, because what you're doing is when there's a nuclear emergency, you're going to flood your body with this iodine. We'll talk about when to take it in a few minutes and how to get it, but let's jump into different dosages that you need depending on your age and such. So first off, for a typical adult dosage, we're talking about people age 18 to 40, 130 milligrams once a day for 14 days. And I'll put a link below and talk more about how to get your potassium iodide. It's actually really inexpensive, but don't fall for some of the tricks. Well, let's go through some more of the dosages first, though. If you're over 40, however, it's still the same, 130 milligrams a day for 14 days. However, it's only as prescribed by a physician. Now, that doesn't include somebody who's pregnant or breastfeeding. So let's say you're 43, you're pregnant. No, go ahead and go by the adult dosage. Or if you're breastfeeding, different story too. By the way, with breastfeeding, even if you can take the potassium iodide, you're going to need to stop breastfeeding temporarily because that radioactive iodine can easily pass to the baby, and obviously that'd be catastrophic. But why not over 40? Well, simply put, your thyroid gland is very active during your years up to 40. You have a lot of metabolism and such, and you are more susceptible, by the way, to thyroid cancer at those younger years. It's one of those cancers that's kind of switch. As you get older, surprisingly, some of the cancer rates actually drop for thyroid cancer. So when you're over 40, the government tells you, you know what, unless you're prescribed by a doctor, don't take it. I can't tell you what to do for that. I'm going to tell you for me, I'm over 40. I'm still going to take it, but that's completely up to me, and it's up to you, between you and your doctor. Child dosages. If the child is 12 to 18 years old and over 150 pounds, it's the same dose for an adult, 130 milligrams once a day for 14 days. So basically an adult dosage. And by the way, most medications, if not all of them, are based on an adult being 150 pounds or older. So if your kid is 12 to 18 years old and over 150 pounds, they have the same body physique as an adult, at least for this type of medication. However, if your 12 to 18-year-old is under 150 pounds, or if you have a 3-year-old to 12-year-old, it's half the dose, 65 milligrams, but again, once a day for 14 days. For infants and toddlers, first infants, newborns to 1 month, 32 milligrams, but it has to be an oral solution for 14 days. Or if it's a 1-month-old to 3-year-old, obviously getting in the toddler range, 64 milligrams, also, however, an oral solution for 14 days. So for infants and toddlers, and honestly for adults too, you can get the oral solution or suspension 130 milligrams per serving. In this particular one, we're talking about 27 drops will give you 130 milligrams. So as an adult, I could still do this too if I wanted to instead of the pills. It is more pricey. But I keep this on hand, obviously, because I have kids and babies. And I just did a quick math for you based on their dosage on here, how many drops to give your kids and such. And again, for an adult dose, this is based on 27 drops. If you want to give 65 milligrams, it'd be 14 drops. 32 milligrams, 7 drops. 16 milligrams, 3 1/3 drops. Do the best you can. But one more thing too, when we talk about buying this, look at this link right here from Amazon. This is a bottle that has 60 pills that are 130 milligrams. You have to make sure the bottle you're buying says 130 milligrams, because there's a lot of them on there that say micrograms, by the way. But you know what? I linked this one below. But also, I wouldn't fall for this either. These pills are 130 milligrams also, but only gives you the 14-day dose. And look at the price. This is just one dose for $15. Whereas back to this one, we're talking about 4 doses for only $10. Now, the government said they will announce to you when it's safe to go ahead and take your potassium iodide. And it's always a scary thing, isn't it? Thinking they're going to contact us or not contact us. When we get an emergency alert, it's hard to say. Overall, on the CDC website, by the way, all this stuff is from the CDC. I can link it below so you can go there and check this out yourself. Don't take my word for any of this. You can actually take it if you know a nuclear emergency is coming your way 24 hours before the event, or an event does occur up to 4 hours after. Now, again, for me, if it's 10 hours after and I just now got my potassium iodide, I'm going to take it. But that's just me. The CDC says up to 4 hours, whatever. Now, what's really cool about this, it's an incredibly stable supplement. In other words, the bottle probably has an expiration date on here. If it does, I'm not sure where it's at. But practically speaking, even from the government will tell you, there really is no expiration on it. It is incredibly shelf stable. Just make sure you keep it in a cool, dark area, not very humid, etc. Keep it sealed, all those kind of things. Now, what I like to do as far as storing it, I like to put it in a bag. In fact, I have a whole bunch of them right here. I have enough for me and my neighbors and everybody else, and put this in my Faraday cage, including the liquid suspension ones too. Reason being is, if there's a nuclear emergency, it's all right there. I can simply just grab it. All right, potassium iodide, again, it's only for one thing as far as the metabolism goes when it comes to iodine. But, you know, there's other things you can do, we can look at and talk about later as far as other radioactive stuff. But if I were you, if you don't have potassium iodide for you and your family, and possibly even neighbors too, it's super inexpensive. Click on the links below and pick some up. And have that just in case, you know, because if something does happen, the last thing you want to do is end up with thyroid cancer. And of course, that's going to just ruin your day. Thanks for watching, and any questions, put them in the comments below, and we'll see you next time.